Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Shiva Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada Jaya, Prabhupada. Om Gyana Tamrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Keeping it simple this morning. This morning, we're reading from Srila Prabhupada Amrita. It's the beginning of chapter 26, which is titled Swami's Departure. Swamiji's Departure. Srila Prabhupada, as many of you know, Srila Prabhupada is still recovering from a health issue with his heart. That happened in New York, and he spent some time recovering at Long Beach, and now he has decided to travel to San Francisco, where it's warmer for him to recover. At the San Francisco airport, Prabhupada smiled, but said little as the devotees greeted him with flowers and kirtan. It was different this time. He walked straight ahead with the aid of a cane. Jayananda was waiting with his station wagon to drive Prabhupada to the private house they had rented north of the city at Stinson Beach. But first, Prabhupada said he wanted to visit the San Francisco Radha Krishna temple. Jayananda drove to 518 Frederick Street. Prabhupada got out of the car and entered the small storefront, which was filled with waiting devotees and guests. He bowed before the smiling Jagannath deities, and without speaking a word, left the room, returned to the car, and departed for Stinson Beach. The ride up through the sea cliffs was so winding and climbing that Prabhupada became nauseated, and even lying down in the back seat and having Jayananda drive slower didn't help much. Kirtananda realized that it would be too difficult for Prabhupada to visit the San Francisco temple from Stinson Beach. But maybe that would be just as well. He could spend all of his time recuperating. It was a modern, single-story, 6-room house with a Japanese roof. A sign out front read Paradisio. Srila Prabhupada noticed in the front yard, amidst fashionable lawn furniture, a statue of Lord Buddha, a garden ornament. When Prabhupada entered the house, he found Mukunda and his wife Janaki waiting for him. They bowed down and Janaki wept in happiness. Prabhupada smiled but kept walking slowly and silently through the house. The large living room overlooking the Pacific Ocean was decorated with some of Jadharani's paintings of Lord Vishnu, Radha and Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, as well as with Indian prints of Jagannath Puri. Prabhupada's bedroom, also facing the ocean, had sliding windows. On the wall was a portrait of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and a painting of Radha and Krishna. Prabhupada smiled and said the paintings were very nice. The devotees agreed that only Kirtananda and Upendra would stay and serve Swamiji. They wanted Swamiji's stay to be peaceful so that his health could improve. That night, Srila Prabhupada felt pain in his heart and couldn't sleep, and he didn't rise early for translating. At 5 a.m., Kirtananda came in and opened the window slightly so that Prabhupada could receive the soft ocean breeze. Prabhupada sat up in his bed chanting his japa and gazing at the feet of Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani. A mountain range to the east blocked the morning sun. Ever since Prabhupada's stroke, Kirtananda had been regularly massaging Prabhupada morning and evening. Kirtananda would rub Prabhupada's head vigorously and then sit behind him and massage his back. Next, he would massage Prabhupada's chest, his arms, and his legs, the complete massage lasting sometimes more than an hour. Since leaving the hospital, Prabhupada had also been taking daily morning walks, even while on the Lower East Side, and this morning he went down for a walk on the beach, accompanied by Kirtananda and Upendra. As Prabhupada walked on the beach, he pointed his cane towards some bubbles in the sand. "Just see," he said, "there are living entities everywhere. There is no place without living entities, and yet they say there is no life on the moon." The beach was rocky, and there were cliffs where the waves crashed powerfully like thunder. "You hear this sound?" Prabhupada asked. "This is an echo of the gopis' heartbeats when they are feeling separation from Krishna." He walked for an hour until his 2 young servants were both tired. "Do I tire you walking?" he laughed. "This walking and massaging are saving my life from day to day." Then he continued walking. By 11 o'clock, the sun finally appeared over the mountains and through the clouds. Srila Prabhupada, his head wrapped with a towel, sat in a folding chair on the beach, taking in the sunshine. He kept saying he needed more sun. After lunch, the sky was again overcast. In the evening, Prabhupada called Kirtananda and Upendra into the large living room and led them in a subdued kirtan, singing Hare Krishna and Govinda Jaya Jaya. He stood and led them in a large circle around the room. He would stop before the picture of Krishna, bow slightly with folded palms, turn around, and then continue in the circle. Srila Prabhupada Leela Rita Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This morning, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 31, Text 22. Shriyang Anutaritam Tada Artinascha Dvipadapatin Vibhudangscha Yatsva Purnaha Nabhajati Nirta Pricha Vargatantra Katam Amam Udrishvrichet Puman Krita Janaha Shriyam Anu Charitim Tadan Artinascha Dvipadapatim Vibhudangscha Yatsvapurnaha Nabhajati Nija Pricha Vargatantra Gatam Amam Udvishrijet Puman Krita Janaha Shriyam Anucharitam Tad Artinascha Dvipadapatin Vibhudangscha Yatsvapurnaha Nabhajati Nija Pricha Vargatantra Gatamamum Udvishrijet Puman Krita Janaha Agyaha. Excuse my Sanskrit. Would anyone else like to chant?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavata Pranam, I am trying.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you.
श्रियमनुचरन्तीं तदर्थिनश्च द्विपदपतिं विबुधांश्च यच्च पूर्णः न भुजति निजभृत्तवर्गतन्त्रः कथो ममोमुद्विसृजेत् पुमान् कृतज्ञ. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu. Beautiful. Anybody else? I read the word for word. Shriyam. Oh, would somebody else like to chant? Okay. Shriyam, the goddess of fortune. Anucharitim, who follows him. Tat, of her. Artinaha, those who aspire to get the favor. Cha, and. Dripadapatin, rulers of the human beings. Ubodhan, demigods. Cha, also. Yat, because. Svaparanaha, self-sufficient. Na, never. Bhajati, cares for. Nija, own. Pritavarga, on his devotees. Tantra, dependent. Kadam, how. Amum, him. Udvish, reject, can give up. Puman, a person. Krita, gya, grateful. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is self-sufficient, he becomes dependent on his devotees. He does not care for the goddess of fortune, nor for the kings and demigods who are after the favors of the goddess of fortune. Where is that person who is actually grateful and will not worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Purport. Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, is worshipped by all materialistic men, including big kings and demigods in heaven. Lakshmi, however, is always after the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even though he does not require her service. Brahma Samhita says that the Lord is worshipped by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune, but the Supreme Lord does not require service from any of them, because if he so desires, he can produce millions of goddesses of fortune through his spiritual energy, the pleasure potency. This very personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy, becomes dependent on the devotees. How fortunate then is a devotee who is thus favored by the personality of Godhead. What ungrateful devotee will not worship the Lord and enter into his devotional service? Actually, a devotee cannot forget his obligation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead for even a single moment. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that both the Supreme Lord and his devotee are rasagya, full of transcendental humor. The mutual attachment between the Supreme Lord and his devotee is never to be considered material. It always exists as a transcendental fact. There are 8 types of transcendental ecstasy, known as bhava, anubhava, sthai bhava, and so on, and these are discussed in the Nectar of Devotion. Those who are unaware of the position of the living entity and the Supreme Person, Krishna, think that the mutual attachment between the Lord and his devotees is a creation of the material energy. Factually, such attachment is natural both for the Supreme Lord and for the devotee, and it cannot be accepted as material. Om Gyana Tamandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chaksham Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation again. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is self-sufficient, he becomes dependent on his devotees. He does not care for the goddess of fortune, nor for the kings and demigods who are after the favors of the goddess of fortune. Where is that person who is actually grateful and will not worship the personality of Godhead? Narada Muni, He's instructing the Prachetas. Narada Muni, the great spiritual master, who travels throughout the universe to extend Krishna consciousness through the Parampara system. And we hear how he successfully does this to so many of the great souls whose lives are immortalized in the pages of Bhagavatam. Earlier on, we hear the exchange between Narada Muni and the Prachetas. The Prachetas, of course, they contacted they contacted Narada Rishi earlier on in their lives, where they were instructed by him and they performed their austerities, chanting the mantra given to them by Lord Shiva. And then after that, they entered and they performed their duties as rulers. And now, again, they meet Narada Muni. And their disposition is very humble. We see that in them the heart which is fertile for receiving the benefit of the instructions of the spiritual master. So humble. They say, "Oh, Master, may we inform you that because of our being overly attached to family affairs, we almost forgot the instructions we received from Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. Dear Master, kindly enlighten us in transcendental knowledge, which may act as a torchlight by which we may cross the dark nescience of material existence." This is the condition of all of us. The material world is a place of forgetfulness. The material energy is constantly acting against our capacity to remember the Lord and our eternal relationship with Him. As the three modes of material nature, they cover us over and over and over. For a person in the state of sadhana bhakti, we are engaged in purifying our consciousness from the influence of the three modes of material nature. But those who have come to the platform of pure transcendence, the pure devotional platform, they're well established in transcendental knowledge. They don't need to push back against the modes. They can remember Krishna at every moment. In the purport today, we heard about this stage. And actually, it's a secret. In the stage of sadhana bhakti, I'm speaking for myself, we may take everything in a very superficial way. We may assume that we know what we're hearing about for example, when we read Krishna book. We might recognize the kind of relationships that we see between Krishna and his devotees, but in fact, they are on a pure spiritual platform. They're not material. And Srila Prabhupada says in today's purport, they are a transcendental fact. And this relationship that's experienced between the Supreme Lord and his devotees is very intimate, it's very confidential. And in that state of life, a devotee actually experiences devotional ecstasies. Personally, for me, this is theoretical, but it's wonderful that we can hear that there is such a goal In the meantime, the sadhaka engages in Krishna consciousness to purify their consciousness from the three modes of material nature. The goal is um, is demonstrated by Mother Yashoda. We recently passed through the month of Kartik, and we worship Mother Yashoda, and the relationship between Mother Yashoda and Lord Krishna, Lord Damodar, and that this is on the transcendental platform, and pure love and mutual attachment for each other. The devotee depends on Krishna, and Krishna comes under the control of that devotee's love, where he agrees to become dependent on the devotee. We see that Lord Damodar becomes dependent on Mother Yashoda because of her love. He willingly accepts her chastisement, her punishment, allows himself to be detained, to be tied to the wind grinding water for his own rectification of his behavior. Of course, we know he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we look at this pastime, we can see that it's a very intimate relationship between the Lord and his devotee. And that what Krishna is doing is he's absorbed in that relationship. He agrees to be bound by her. One time, my spiritual master, His Holiness Devamrita Swami, observed while he was waiting for his flight in the departure lounge in an international airport. He observed there was this big businessman. He was with his family, but he could observe that he was a successful businessman by the way he was dressed and he held himself. And he had his family with him. But as they were all waiting around for their to be called to their departure gate, this businessman, he got down on the ground on his hands and knees because his little boy was asking, Daddy, Daddy, I want to ride you. So he got down on the ground in his suit and everything, like a dog or like a horse, and his little son climbed on top of him, and he was, and he was sort of like walking around in circles on that spot with his son on his back. This big businessman, surely, you can imagine, holding some position of power and authority, but agreeing to become subservient to his son out of love. And yes, so we can see that where there's an intimate relationship, the dynamics are different. This is a most wonderful, a most wonderful goal, and it is the secret, I think, of Krishna consciousness. Such a sublime goal to actually be able to once again obtain our relationship with the Lord in such a way, a sublime goal. Today is the last day of the book marathon, Srila Prabhupada book marathon, and I'm just simply been thinking of book distribution. Well, I'm somewhat, not completely, not absorbed as I would like to have been, but some thought about book distribution is there. And so when I read this and I heard about the Prachetas receiving these instructions from Narada Muni, about the supreme goal of life, and this verse comes within a section of those instructions, emphasizing to the Prachetas that devotional service is the ultimate goal of life, and that without performing devotional service, all other activities in life are empty, useless, worth nothing. When the when people receive Srila Prabhupada's books on the street, they receive the same benefit. They're coming in contact with a bona fide spiritual master in the direct line from Narada Muni. And they're hearing in every single purport, Prabhupada is emphasizing the ultimate goal of life, devotional service. There's no way that a person can read any of Srila Prabhupada's books and get lost and not understand what is the ultimate goal of life. It's there on every page and every purport. So that actually, if somebody just gets a book and opens it once, they will receive that message. Whether we take that to heart depends on the degree of our receptivity. Whether we actually take advantage of that, run with that, and perfect our life based on that instruction, on that knowledge, is up to us. Just like Srila Prabhupada gives the example that the sun beats its rays down upon the earth everywhere, even on the ocean, which cannot receive it. But how, in the same way, Krishna's mercy is available, it's widespread, it's available, especially because of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. It's available to everyone if they contact Srila Prabhupada's books. But depending on our receptive power, there is a difference, for example, between a rock and a plant. How much can a rock receive and utilize the heat of the sun compared to a plant which can receive that sunlight and then use it, photosynthesis, to nourish itself? That depends on us. It depends on those that we give Srila Prabhupada's books to. But regardless of how much, when we contact people, we give them Srila Prabhupada's books, they may open a page, read something that's to their eternal benefit. Something will go in. And even if they close it and then they never really take it to heart, but that book will find another reader. I heard a wonderful story from a devotee in the UK. He explained how he became a devotee. He said that one day he was on the street in America, I think, and there was a homeless person, and he went to throw the homeless person some change, and the homeless man said, "Oh, I don't want your money. I just want you to spend some time. I want to talk." So this young man, okay, so he sat down with him and he talked to that homeless man, and they talked about many things. And after some time, this young man, he got up to leave, and the homeless person said, "Actually, before you go, I want to give you a gift." And out of his pocket, his ragged pocket, he took a pristine copy of Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. And he put it very carefully into the young man's hand, and he said, This is the greatest treasure, and I want to give this to you as a gift. So the young man, okay. Actually, he said, the young man said, no, 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 if it's the greatest treasure, I don't want to take it from you. Please, please, please keep this. But the homeless man, he insisted, no, I want you to have it. Please take it. And he really insisted. So the young man agreed. And he took the Bhagavad Gita and he took it home. And he read it. And he became a devotee. To this day, inspiring others to distribute books and distributing books himself. That Bhagavad Gita that may be left on a park bench, maybe picked up by someone, maybe passed on to someone else, or passed on to someone else even again. But eventually, this knowledge finds the receptive person and it transforms their lives. And one by one by one by one, which Srila Prabhupada's books transform, it's changing the world. 2 days ago, I was in Silverdale. You know, Silverdale, it's not too far from Riverhead. And it's a wonderful place. Well, actually, for 2 days, it was a wonderful place. There was a really easygoing security guard. He didn't really notice me. In fact, he was quite friendly to me. I'm not sure if he knew what I was doing, sifting around the car parks, talking to people, trying to introduce them to Srila Prabhupada's books. Many people received them in a wonderful way. And I met one man who, when he saw the Bhagavad Gita, he said, oh, I've read this. I love this. This is an intergalactic teaching. Oh, that sounds really cool. Intergalactic. Yes, intergalactic. So please pray for me. He's interested in, I will show him the Bhagavatam set, the Srimad Bhagavatam today. Baba Sunday Matajishi kindly allowed me to get one from the temple, and I'll take to him and see if he's ready now to follow up his study of the Bhagavad Gita with Srila Prabhupada's Srimad Bhagavatam. Now that's really intergalactic, isn't it? The Srimad Bhagavatam takes the themes of the Bhagavad Gita and expands upon them, and then takes you all throughout the universe to see Bhagavad Gita, the teachings of the Lord, in action and in the lives of devotees. And then yesterday, unfortunately, because it was so nice in Silverdale, I got myself and another devotee, Soumya Mai, we thought, let's go back to Silverdale. And there was another security guard. So I messaged Soumya Mai, there's another security guard today. Watch out for him. I described him. He looks more vigilant. Anyway, sure enough, she starts messaging me that she's now sitting down pretending to have a break while she's looking out of the corner of her eye to see he's following her, basically. And then I see him. He's following me. So I start pretending that I've lost my car. Where's my car? Where's my car? But sure enough, he comes up to me and he said, you can't do this here. You can't preach here. You can't sell your books here. And then I look at him a little bit more closely, and he's Indian body. And eventually he said, you see these beads? And he's got some Tulsi beads around his neck. He said, there's Tulsi beads, and he's glorifying Tulsi, saying how powerful the beads are. You know, that if, you will not die, and you will not die in your sleep, even in your sleep, if you're wearing them, things like this. Nice things. He says he goes to Vrindavan. So I think, oh, great, a devotee. So start talking to him, oh, yes, we're just trying to extend Krishna consciousness, knowledge of Krishna, Lord Krishna. And he's like, well, you can't do it here. But 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 this is Lord Chaitanya's movement. We do it everywhere. It's like an ocean. Lord Chaitanya, it needs to expand. He was like, no, we can't do it here. Oh, he was so strict. I said, do you know about Lord Chaitanya? So sad. He didn't know about Lord Chaitanya. He didn't know. And so he threw us out of there, and quickly. He was, unfortunately for him. So then we drove to Orewa, and then we realized that the Lord wanted us in Orewa, and we met some really nice people in Orewa. So that was all okay. And we feel like sorry for this man, although in many ways he's Krishna's mercy, but he doesn't know about Lord Chaitanya. So Prabhupada's books, the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, they give us knowledge of Lord Chaitanya. So the Lord Krishna appeared. He appears personally once every 8,600,000,000 years. That is within one day of Lord Brahma. It is astonishing that just 4,500 years later, the Lord appears again, but this time in a golden form. But Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself, and he's unlocking the secret of devotional service. This what we see here in this purport, that there is a very intimate relationship of love and trust that can be experienced between the Lord and the devotee in pure devotional service. We read about that in the Bhagavad Gita, but how do we actually get that revelation? How do we experience it? That's because of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. Lord Chaitanya appeared and he showed us how to do it. He's like a good teacher. Like a good teacher. They don't just tell you how it is. They show you how it is. And then you can see it in action. And then you know how to do it. So that's what Lord Chaitanya did. And by chanting and dancing, he inaugurated the Yoga Dharma, the process of reviving our original love of Godhead by chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And Lord Chaitanya, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that when Lord Chaitanya appeared, this love for Krishna, this experience of loving Krishna, this was actually, it was contained, it was locked up. But when Lord Chaitanya and his associates, members of the Panchatattva, appeared, then they broke open the storehouse of love of God and they distributed it widely to everyone. So this is Srila Prabhupada's book distribution. This Krishna consciousness that now, when Srila Prabhupada, when he came to the West, he came with trunks of books, his 3 or 4 volumes of the first canto, and trunks with books he came. When Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's 3 disciples were instructed to go to the West and preach in the English-speaking world, they waited until they had printed copies of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj's book on the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, the life and times of the life of Lord Chaitanya. Before they came to the West, they came with books. So this is our parampara, the distribution of Krishna consciousness through book distribution. And anyway, we may be kicked out of parking lots, but this will not be stopped. This is Lord Chaitanya's, by his will, this is going on, and it's very exciting. All right, so I think I will stop now. Please forgive me for for my shortcomings this morning. I'm a little tired and scrambled head, and but it has been a very wonderful time distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. So many devotees out there on the streets, in car parks, and shopping malls, and door to door, and book tables, and markets. And not just that, but there are so many devotees supporting the book distribution. So much support, all the devotees that cook and clean and facilitate recharge festivals and festivals to enliven it all. All of our activities actually in Krishna consciousness. And there's so much that goes on in the, not just on the front lines, but in the background, which is everything in Krishna consciousness is absolute. So it's all is equally important, but it's all about distributing Krishna consciousness and tasting Krishna consciousness, this love, this prema, which Lord Chaitanya is making accessible to us most fallen souls in this age of Kali Yuga. This ideal that we hear about in this verse, that the Supreme Lord and his devotee, both of them are rasagya, full of transcendental humor. The mutual attachment between the Supreme Lord and his devotee is never to be considered material. It always exists as a transcendental fact. There are 8 types of transcendental ecstasy known as bhava, anubhava, sthai bhava, and so on. And these are discussed in the Nectar of Devotion. Those who are unaware of the position of the living entity and the Supreme Person Krishna think that the mutual attachment between the Lord and his devotees is a creation of the material energy. Yes, you see, it's a secret. We think it's not understood without experience. And then Prabhupada finishes by saying, factually, such attachment is natural, both for the Supreme Lord and for the devotee. And it cannot be accepted as material. It's natural. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada's transcendental book distribution ki jai. Gaura Premanandi. Would anybody like to make some comments, and please make up for my shortcomings here?
Hey, Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhupada.
Thank you for enlivening class this morning, especially giving such an inspiration for book distribution. Such nice examples you quoted. Very inspiring. Just by Christmas is a couple of days from now, on the 25th, and I was wondering, maybe you can elaborate how even Lord Jesus Christ becomes subservient to his devotees by washing their feet, I think, in the Bible.
Oh, Prabhu, your speaker is gone. Your microphone is off now. Could you please turn it back on again?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Now I can, yes.
Yeah, now it's just when you were giving the class, and this verse especially emphasizes how the Lord becomes subservient to his devotees. And because the Christmas is coming in a couple of days' time, I was also thinking that Lord Jesus Christ also becomes subservient to his servants by washing their feet. So maybe you can elaborate. I'm not too sure about the Bible context, but I just occurred to me, and maybe you like to elaborate on this point.
Um, I'm not so able to elaborate on that because I'm not so familiar with the Christian teachings anymore. What comes to mind is how Srila Prabhupada served his disciples, especially in the early days, how he would personally cook and serve out the love feasts. Um, we we see yeah we see very menial. Prabhupada performs this kind of menial service um, for in the early days, and then of course, um, although we see Prabhupada then being able to act more like a spiritual master, still his mood is the same. Actually, it just looks different. Just humbly serving um, his disciples, but by giving them Krishna consciousness, by teaching them his classes, writing his books to give this knowledge, supporting them through his letters of correspondence. Um, but Lord Jesus Christ, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not so familiar with those teachings anymore. Certainly, we understand that he was a pure devotee of the Lord, a yogi, in fact. And it's nice that there's still this festival of Christmas. Um, Unfortunately, most people, and in fact, children wouldn't. Most children today would grow up not associating the festival of Krishna um, with Lord Jesus, the birth of Lord Jesus Christ. It is certainly being lost as the world becomes more, um, just crazy because of the modes of passion and ignorance. Religion, any form of fragment of religion is practically eradicated today. These days in New Zealand, you can't find a church open anymore. I remember like 20 years ago in New Zealand, you could find churches open and you could go inside. Sometimes I would go inside and chant my japa there. Or you could walk into um, churches just to sit and think, even if you weren't Christian. But these days they're all closed, and a lot of them have been converted into cafes, nightclubs. um, yeah, and so this is due to the intensity of the modes of passion and ignorance as we progress through Kali Yuga. It's very nice to remember the life of Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you for the inspiration. I think I'll try to do that myself. It's very nice to teach our children at the time of Christmas, about Lord Jesus Christ, pure devotee of the Lord. So I'll do that. Thank you, Prabhu. If anybody else has got some insight into this, that please share it with us, please.
This one point, Mati. You gave me the best Christmas gift by distributing Srila Prabhupada books. This is uh, season of giving. I think this best Christmas gift is the Srila Prabhupada books. Thank you for the effort. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yes, people are very fortunate to receive Prabhupada's books. You'll find it. It's really nice. We're we're making stacks of Prabhupada's books and putting a bow around them. So it looks like um, so. This is just one example. The rest are in the car, but so look how attractive this is for people. Got hardback Bhagavad Gita, a Krishna book, and then an introductory one. But the devotees like making stacks of different combinations of books and putting like a bow on the top like this to bind them together. And people give, a donation and they'll get three books. Yeah, it's a nice Christmas gift, isn't it? Yeah, from Srila Prabhupada. Yeah.
Still got a few minutes. Any devotees like to have a comment or give this good opportunity? Thank you. Got a few devotees online today, 13. So anybody like to give any comments or reflections? Welcome. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, pranams to you. Thank you very much for a very inspiring and very nice class. Especially about the book distribution, really kind of inspired me. I don't do any book distribution myself, but just the thought that it's such a wonderful opportunity and a wonderful activity to do. So maybe sometime in the future. Thanks to you very much for a very nice class. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, please do it. We need all the devotees to do it. It's very simple. It really is so simple. But the book that I get inspiration from is it's by Shaitaka Prabhu's our book called Our Family Business.
Okay.
And this is just such a wonderful book. You're very if you like to study and become inspired, you hear about his you get everything. You get to understand why book distribution is important, and then you'll be inspired. And then Shaitaka Prabhu also gives very simple techniques for getting out there and distributing books. It's I can tell you one story if we have time.
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is well, I guess it's not okay. Anyway, this happened a couple of days ago. I was in Manukau, and I've told this story before. Some of you might have heard it if I told it to you, but so we were walking from one car park to another in Manukau. And so en route there was a very quiet street, and a man appeared, sort of onto the street, and I don't know why I just got the inspiration to I'm going to see if he wants a book. So I approached with a stack of books, but as I got closer to him, I could see he was homeless. I could smell that, and so I just I changed up my strategy, and I just handed him a small book. I knew that he probably won't be able to pay for it. And at the time, he said to me, he was a young Vietnamese man, and he had broken English, and he said, "Oh, I can give a donation. I just have to go across the road." There was a Work and Income WINS office. He said, "I have this letter," and he had this piece of paper. It was a letter from WINS that was entitling him to $80 worth of food from Pack and Save. He didn't have any money himself, but he just had this letter, which was as good as $80 worth of food. And he said, "I can give you this food as a donation, but wait here. I just need to go to WINS and get some ID. Yesterday I went to the supermarket and they wouldn't give me the food. I need to get ID." So I waited. And you wait and you don't know if people are going to come back or how long you're going to be waiting for. And there was no one on the street. But because you think, oh, he's going to give something to Krishna. So that would be so nice. I just have to wait, see if he comes back. And he came back really fast. And then he said, "Come on, let's go. Let's go to Pack and Save." As we were walking, he revealed that he just got out of prison. And that's why he had nothing. And so I thought, for security, because we were just about to go through this sort of like alleyway, I thought, okay. I said to him, "Let's go this way." So then we picked up my Sankirtan partner and we went three of us together to pack and save. And he really is, he was only maybe about 25 to 30 and very gentle eyes, nervous body. We've got to pack and save and pack and save. Again, they refused to give him the food because they said, this is not, this ID that you've got from this photocopy of your passport you've got from WINS, it's out of date, so we can't give it to you. Then I said to them, oh, could you check that with your manager? And they weren't talking to him. They were, because he was sort of, he wasn't badly dressed. He was just, it was more his disposition, the way he was. He didn't smell that bad. It wasn't like he had long, filthy dreadlocks or, ragged clothes like some of the homeless people in the streets. But it was more that he was nervous. He was a person that had been oppressed by his whole life, and things hadn't gone his way, and he hadn't got this food yesterday, and now they're saying, no, he can't get this food, and he was out of prison and he had nowhere to go, and he couldn't speak the language properly. And so they just didn't give him they didn't treat him like a person. They were just talking to me. So they said, okay, we'll go and talk to the manager. And then when I'm standing there with him and we're waiting. And he said to me, I believe in God. Do you believe in God? I believe God's a person, like you and me. He's looking quiet. And I said, oh, I believe that too. And we smiled at each other. It was so nice. And then the manager came back and said, okay, this is okay. Take the letter. And then he gave it to me. He said, here. He gave me the letter and his ID, and he said, you take this as a donation. And I said, are you sure? And he said, yes. And then he left. And then I think, hang on a second, we might need him. We might need him to sign. I didn't want him to, like, if he leaves and I've got the letter and I can't do anything with the letter, then he's lost $80 worth of food, which could be, which he may need. He doesn't have anything. And so I said to him, wait. I ran back. I got him. I asked him, I said, now listen, you don't need to stay. Keep this letter. You don't need to stay, but if you want to give this as a donation, stay here until I get back because you may need to sign something. So, and then I went into the supermarket. I was like, oh, I've got to spend $80. What do I get? I started going in all different directions at the same time. This aisle, no, this aisle, this aisle. I was like, woo! And then I thought, okay, Shushi Rata, okay, he wants to give a donation to the Lord. I thought about Shushi Rata Giridhari. I thought, what do they want? Oh, dairy. So then I went straight to the dairy section and I got lots of cream and milk and butter and yogurt, almost to the value of $80. But fast. I had to do it fast. And then I'm quickly going back towards the checkout and I think of him and I think, and I got a toothbrush and some toothpaste. And then I get to the checkout and there he is. He's still waiting there with his letter. And he's still looking nervous and displaced. And we put through the transaction. He does need to sign. He signed. I gave him the toothpaste and the toothbrush and he took it so gratefully. And he said, now I know God is real, he said. Because yesterday I was thinking I really need a toothbrush and some toothpaste. He thanked me and I said, you're welcome. Thank you so much for all of this. And then what do? I have to leave. I didn't want to, but what can I do for him? He sat down outside the supermarket. Maybe he was going to beg for money or food. But it really just looked like he didn't have anywhere to go, no one to be with, nothing to do. Out of prison, life's a mess, can't speak the language, no direction. I gave him a stack of Prabhupada's books. So he sits down with the books. I look back at him, I see him with the books, and I think, he's going to be okay. And I leave. Then I took the boga to the temple. I put it in, the deity kitchen wasn't open. So I really wanted to put it there so that would be used to cook for Shishirada Giridhara. And then Overland Prabhu said that it would be okay. Everything that gets cooked at the temple is offered to the Lord there. So I put it in the downstairs. This was only a few days ago. Downstairs kitchen. And there was a devotee in there who said that he would put it in the upstairs kitchen. So I left it. And then I went before Shishirada Giridhara and said, they know everything, but I wanted to check in with them. So I explained what had happened, how this man had given everything. And would they please look after him in whatever way that they think would be the best. And then coming before Shishi Ganesha, I realized, so wonderful. We just need to go out and be there for people. We don't know how the Lord will arrange to give them an opportunity to reconnect with him. And I think about that man a couple of times after that happened. I was quite upset, worrying about him. But then, Krishna says, those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. He's in Krishna's hands. But the thing that gives me the most solace is that he's got Srila Prabhupada's books. A person who's totally displaced, lost in this vast cosmos of darkness and ignorance, overwhelmed by the three modes of material nature, is there with Prabhupada's books. He's got access now, a connection to the parampara. So it's like, is there such a deep thing? It's such a wonderful thing to do in life, because it just seems meaningful, I really recommend it.
Yeah, what a beautiful, inspiring episode, Mataji. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Okay, it's getting so late now. You all have busy lives and things to do. Thank you so much for tolerating me. And please give your blessings so that this man that I met 2 days ago will get a Srimad Bhagavatam set. He was the one who is interested in, who loves the intergalactic aspect of the Bhagavad Gita. Hopefully he will not be able to resist the intergalactic treats of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Hare Dina Dayal Mataji ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hare Hare. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.